I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You join me in prayer, please. Supreme Architect of the universe, we invoke thy blessing at this time. May this meeting thus begun in peace, conducted in harmony, and closed in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, did I? More green.
It's public safety.
Oh, okay. Commissioners, I'd like to welcome you to our public business meeting Thursday, March 21st, 2013, 5 o'clock. Gentlemen, are there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
Yes, there is. There will be an additional item. It will be number 5A.
5A. I'd like to entertain a motion to insert item 5A, the Rawlings Water. Oh, just a second.
You got it. Rawlings Water Agreement.
Agreement. Thank you very much.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
We have got time to wait on you.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, I would like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of our March 14th, 2013 public business meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
I thought it was going to die. It's been moved by Commissioner McKay, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It's going to be a tough crowd. Okay, gentlemen, I'd like to communicate to you that I have now been appointed to serve as the MACO representative on the Rural Maryland Council Executive Board. This is an appointment that is effective immediately, and it's a 2-year term. The Rural Maryland Council is an independent agency of the state of Maryland that brings together rural leaders, government officials at all levels, and representatives of the nonprofit and for-profit sectors to develop public policy solutions to challenging uniqueness of rural Maryland. Ultimately, the mission of the RMC is to improve the quality of life while preserving the pastoral heritage of Maryland's rural communities. The nonpartisan council represents approximately 1.6 million people living in Maryland's 18 rural communities. The nonpartisan council is representative by Allegany, Calvert, Caroline, Carroll, Cecil, Charles, Dorchester, Frederick, Garrett, Hartford, Kent, Queen Anne's, Somerset, and St. Mary's, Talbot, Washington, Wacomico, and Worcester. So this is a MACO appointment. They thought that as chairman of the Rural Counties Coalition, this would be a good segue and a good way to unite all the rural entities within the state of Maryland so that that one voice is being consistent and being heard.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Headed to Annapolis tomorrow, 12 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now. Okay, gentlemen, item number 1 on our agenda is a proclamation. It happens to be National Social Work Month, and I understand that Miss Joy Reckley-Murphy and Miss Jennifer Gladfeldt are here. Would you all like to say something first before we do the proclamation?
First of all, thank you very much. On behalf of the Allegany and Garrett Social Work Caucus, I thank you very much for this proclamation and acknowledging the hard work of all of the social workers and our professional license. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, if we could have you all up, I'd like to give this proclamation to you all, please. How are we lining up, Mom?
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies, if I may. Allegheny County Government Proclamation. Whereas March is National Social Work Month, and whereas social workers strive to make a difference by helping people resolve problems, cope with distressed situations, and locate resources to improve their social functioning. And whereas social workers serve in a variety of roles, including advocate, resource coordinator, therapist, educator, legislative lobbyist, and whereas social workers change futures by assisting, guiding, and helping others to successfully negotiate life challenges. Now, therefore, we as the County Commissioners proudly recognize and honor our social workers who make life better for our residents in Allegheny County by proclaiming March 2013 to be Social Work Month in Allegheny County, and encourage all citizens to recognize the importance, life-enhancing contribution of all social workers. Signed by all 3 county commissioners, and it is my pleasure to thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If I may. All right. Very wonderful. Let's give them a round of applause. After you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Brody has yours, sir.
Yeah.
That explains it. Is that your antique?
Mr. DeVore, can you make sure this isn't... Mr. DeVore is my stand-in double for many things. Okay, Commissioners, item number 2. Now, this is under our action agenda. This is the Department of Economic and Community Development. I understand that there's an industrial building sale contract, and our director, Mr. Matthew Diaz, is here. What good news have you brought, sir?
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. In January of 2008, McClure Johnson Company came to Allegheny County and occupied a 15,000 square foot industrial building in the North Branch Industrial Park, building known as 88-1. It's a 4-year lease purchase agreement, and in 2012 they opted to renew that agreement for an additional 4-year term. However, at the present time, they have decided to exercise the option to purchase that building, and what you have in front of you tonight is a sales contract, which once you execute will put that process in motion and hopefully move towards a closing date in the next 60 days. The purchase price of the building is $700,000. And the lease purchase agreement spelled out the terms of that would be 25% of the rent paid to date would be applied to the purchase price. So looking at that, doing the math, we're probably looking in the next couple of months that you'll have a purchase price net of about $620,000.
$620, okay.
So I ask for your favorable approval on the sales contract tonight.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Another feather in your cap, Mr. Diaz, doing a great job.
Well, you know, it's a sale of real estate. What that tells me is that there are companies here when they exercise their purchase option that are invested in the community and want to stay here. So that's always a positive.
Well, it's secure another company, securing jobs. So excellent, excellent. Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the president to sign this sales contract.
So moved.
And second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Commissioners, item number 3 is Resolution 13-6. This is the Mount Savage Jennings Run Water and Sewer USDA loan. Mr. Bennett, what say you?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you? What you have in front of you tonight is a resolution seeking authorization for a $4,260,000 USDA loan for the Jennings Run sanitary sewer system and Mount Savage water distribution system. It's a project we've been working on, Public Works has been working on for some time, and it's going to continue. But USDA wants to get the ball rolling, and they're actually doing us a favor here. They're allowing us to close on this loan early. They want to get us the money at a favorable interest rate while they can before the federal budget potential fiasco hits. So they've done something they don't typically do, but we're going to go ahead and get closed next week. It's going to be $4,260,000 loan at 1.875% interest over 40 years. We're only going to be paying interest up and through March of 2015, just so that we can finish construction. So this will save the residents of that area some money until then. After that, it's going to be about $157,000 a year in debt service. Get that through ad valorem and user charges. So once again, USDA did us kind of a big favor, and we kind of rushed to get this one done. So, you know, being the good partners they are, they helped us out. So all we're doing tonight is seeking your approval for this so we can get it closed and get $2.9 million back.
Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion for adoption of Resolution 13-6.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So with Dancing with the Stars, will there be a new dance called the Federal Fiasco?
It's one I hope we're not in. I hope we
Okay.
don't dance in that.
Okay, that's good.
But there probably will be a dance, yes.
Oh, boy. All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, item number 4 is the public hearing for Code Home Rule Bill 2-13, the residential sprinkler incentive. Mr. Rudd.
Yes, this was introduced last week by this body. It provides for a credit of $500 per year for 3 years for a total of $1,500 for anybody who installs a residential automatic sprinkler system in a 1 or 2 family dwelling. This applies both in the incorporated and unincorporated parts of the county, and the ability or the program to get this credit will be for a period of 3 years, well, until tax year 2016, or until such time as the county / the state requires mandatory sprinklers in the homes in Allegany County. As you know, under the current law, we were able to opt out of the building code, so it's voluntary at this time. But this is an incentive to get people to install sprinkler systems. Today is the hearing. Anybody wants to comment about it, which I'm sure you'll call for, and then you can can pass this at any legislative day. The next one being next week.
Next week.
And this would be effective this tax year coming up, July 1st, 2013.
Okay. All right. Looks like we have for the public to sign up. Animal recycling. Looks like Mr. Tim Dayton. As Mr. Dayton does come to the podium, just to remind everyone, we have a 5 and 5 policy.
Won't be that long. Won't be that long, sir.
Won't be that long?
Yeah,
All right, sir.
Tim Dayton from Washingtonport. First of all, as a local fire chief, past president with the Allegheny Garrett Association, and also the chairman of the State Fire Prevention Commission, thank you. This is a huge step that you have taken to ensure not only the public safety but also the firefighter safety by putting this initiative in place. I've been here before when you opted out of it, asking you to not do that, but this is a huge step, and I felt it was appropriate to be here today and thank the commissioners for doing this. I will be happy to notify Fire Marshal Bill Barnard that Allegheny County has taken a positive step in the right direction for public safety. And thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate that. Okay, it looks like we don't have anyone else that has signed up for this particular topic. We will close this public hearing. And Mr. Eberly, when do we believe it would be next?
The formal vote on this one could happen next Thursday, sir, the 28th. That's your second legislative date of the month. You can take action at that time.
On my appointment calendar, is that the 4th?
That will be the 4th.
Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, we will take action on this on March the 28th, at our next legislative day. Commissioners, item number 5 is the public hearing on Code Home Rule Bill 3-13. This is the Animal Shelter Control Amendment. Mr. Rudd and Mr. DeVore. Who's first?
Don't stop it. It's moving to the
Typical government, pointing fingers at each other.
It's the eye candy once again, so I'll go before the attorney.
Go ahead. I'll clean up what you said.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Commissioners, what you have before you is one step in a long road. I think what you're going to see here is you will hear from supporters of this particular piece of legislation that paves the way for us to proceed with negotiations with the Animal Shelter Foundation. And I would just like for the supporters here to just stand and be acknowledged, because these are some of the volunteers that every day are making this possible at the shelter. And they don't just stop there. They come out to support us publicly as well. Please clean it up, Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, the technicality is that the current county code requires that the county employ people to do animal control and to run the shelter. What this allows you to do is to delegate or contract with a animal welfare organization to do that for you. And that's basically the gist of what it is.
And that's to explore the opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah, but it gives you that option. You're not required to, but the option to do that.
Okay, all right. Before we get to public comment, I had 2 emails come in, one from a Charlene Sticks, and basically through her gist of the matter, she's in favor of this Code Home Rule Bill. And then also the chairperson, Ms. Susan Etzel, of the Animal Control Board, she also sent us an email stating her support of Code Home Rule Bill number 3-13. Okay. First on the list is Mr. Joe Shipley.
Okay. Bill, you and David are going to have to share that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. Okay. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am Joe Shipley, Cumberland, Maryland. I am here representing or speaking generally and representing the Associated Landlords of Cumberland and Western Maryland, as well as some concerned tenants. So what I'm about to say doesn't really, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I'm not making any suggestions. It's just food for thought, basically, something to ponder. Over the last few years, well, as you know, Cumberland has approximately 1,000, 1,800 rental properties throughout the region here. Some of them are homes that's been divided into, they're duplexes or multi-leveled. Some of them are just single-family homes. At any rate, looking at it from that aspect, and as a property owner myself, and besides having tenants in some of the properties that we do own, these cats, over the last several years, there's been a lot of feral cats running around. They're all over the place. That report there, what you have, is something that a couple of our tenants had given us in reference to what was going on up here on Sperry Terrace. And then last year, I believe we had that issue with all the cats over in Constitution Park that apparently somebody was poisoning or some unfortunate situation occurred where the cats are being taken out for whatever reason. My own experience over the last several years, I think that the animal shelter had really been mismanaged. There was a lot of issues going on. This comes from complaints of tenants and also from my own personal knowledge. And but first, I would like to commend Mr. Dick DeVore for doing an exceptional job since he's been involved with this. I've spoke to him. He personally went down last year to try to rectify a situation which was far above his pay grade, but yet he took it upon himself to go down and talk to these people and try to get some type of handle on the cat situation they had at the residence. But what we have is that the animal shelter just had way too many animals at the period of time. The enforcement was not happening. I'm not going to mention any names. It's irrelevant at this point. The enforcement officers were not going out and performing their duties as they should have. So in the future, I've recommended you have people out there that not only look like enforcement officers, but they're ready, willing, and able to enforce the code and regulations of the state and the community as far as the animals go. And that goes along with their rabies shots and distempers and having them tagged and so on and so forth. Okay, also there's an issue with the court system. Again, this is brought to my attention that whenever you do have a violator that does ultimately get dragged into court, the judges basically just slough it off. They don't want to deal with these people. And, they either are let go or they're given a minimal fine of $10 or $15, something to that effect. So you're going to have to do something with the court system. You're going to find judges that are going to take this stuff seriously. If you look at the letters I had given you there, that is from two individuals who lived in an upper and lower apartment building, multi-floor apartment building. There was children, young children, and the lower one, if you read it there, I think it was 6 months, 6 years, and 11 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, now there's a newborn up there. Okay, and the mothers were just absolutely ecstatic about having all these cats running around on the property, defecating, leaving their droppings on the front porch, on their sun chairs, this, that, and the other thing, and especially out in the yards where the children play. Now, we had contacted the health department and talked to them about this issue. I personally contacted Mr. DeVore, who went down and tried to get a handle on the situation up on the Sperry Terrace incident, and which he did, and it did help for a while. But when taking into consideration what you're looking at here for a private agency to take over the control of one of these organizations we have, like the animal shelter, and I think it's a great idea to expand it as far as the building goes. Just please consider that once you give that control over to somebody else, then what is your limitations there? Are you going to be able to get these officers to go out and do what you need them to do, or not? Thank you so much for your time. God bless.
Would you like another 5 minutes?
No, that's good. That's really all I had to say. It's just, just take this. Please take it. I know all you guys. You all know me. Just think about this. There's a lot more to this than just doing, oh, we're going to give it to these guys and hopefully they'll do a good job. Because if they don't and people get sick, the children get sick. If I was a mother and I had somebody that had cats that were not taking care of these things and they were over there crapping in my yard and all this, I would be pretty frisky about having something taken care of. Well, I really would.
Well, I think you used the word food for thought, and
yes,
appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Joe? Okay, it looks like we have a Chris Ritz.
Gentlemen?
Hello.
Can you hear me, or should I move this?
You're good.
Okay.
We can hear you, but if you'd like to move it, that's fine, too.
I'm fine. Chris Ritz, I'm Frostburg resident. I am also an animal shelter volunteer, and I'm speaking in favor of the bill. And in terms of the Shelter Foundation, I fully support the commitment of Tina Rafferty and the foundation and its members to operate responsibly and compassionately as the county's agents for animal care. I know from working specifically with Tina on adoption events and our foster program that the foundation will be and is committed to creating and maintaining relationships within and beyond our county to help animal control. The foundation has already generated and maintained relationships for private funding regarding spay-neuter programs and general operations of the foundation, and they've reached out to members of other animal advocacy groups who are already established, who have a track record, to pull from their experience, strengthen their own policies, expand their knowledge, and advance their progressive track record. When I say their, I mean the foundations. So I do think the public should look to them to continue their investment in animal control in this county. And as a citizen of this county and an animal advocate, I am fully invested myself in supporting their efforts. And I feel it would be a great loss to our human and animal population not to let them to continue forward. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. Peter? Go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Peter Maasloch. I live at 15508 Baltimore Pike in Cumberland. St. Augustine once said, "Hope has two beautiful daughters. Their names are anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to make a change." In the last 2.5 years, we have seen and experienced anger, courage, and hope. A small group of people was angry at how things were at the Allegany County Animal Shelter, and at the same time, people had the courage to make changes, create the shelter of hope. We as a society constantly evolve and strive to make our world better. This also includes the way how we see animal welfare, which we try to make better every day. The Allegany County Animal Shelter Management Foundation had the courage to support the changes in animal welfare and contributed immensely to the life-saving work at our animal shelter. Today, we know that the courage to make and support changes was successful. In 2012, more animals than ever before left the animal shelter alive into good homes or into the hands of rescue groups. More lost pets than ever before have been returned to their homes. In the last 2.5 years alone, the Shelter Foundation has contributed thousands of dollars to the animal shelter for medical expenses, organized large events that support the shelter, developed marketing concepts, and contributed countless volunteer hours to the shelter. But most importantly, the Shelter Management Foundation will provide us with a modern animal care and adoption center that will replace our outdated building, which never was designed to safely house or care for animals. Handing Allegany County's animal services to the Shelter Management Foundation is the next logical step. The Shelter Management Foundation is an organization that has done incredible work for the animals and for Allegany County. The Shelter Management Foundation is a professional organization with courage, vision, and ethics that will continue the work from the last 2.5 years and push animal welfare in Allegany County forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Mr. Maslow. Ms. Tina Rafferty.
Good evening. I'm Tina Rafferty. I live in Frostburg, and as you know, I'm a volunteer with the shelter and the president of the Animal Shelter Foundation. However, today I would like to say a few words about what being involved with the shelter has meant to me personally. My involvement with the shelter began shortly after the change in the fall of 2010. I attended Mr. DeVore's open house at the shelter that November and my first foundation meeting in January of 2011. The Saturday I went out to the shelter to complete a volunteer application was incredibly moving to me. There must have been at least 20 volunteers working in the shelter, walking dogs, rearranging cats, cleaning, etc. Commissioner Valentine was present that day as well. I knew then our little shelter was destined for great things. Over the past 2 years, not only have I been able to spend my time and energy doing what I am most passionate about, helping animals, but I've also made many wonderful friends along the way. Caring, compassionate people, many of whom I now consider family. While our work may cause us emotional ups and downs, we are always there for each other. To quote an individual very near and dear to our cause, at times we may be outmanned, but we are never outgunned. Because the county, foundation, and shelter staff and volunteers came together to speak up for those who have no voice, our little shelter has transitioned from a small rural kill shelter with a save rate of less than 20% to a shelter of hope with a save rate of over 90%. And our work is being recognized. Commissioner Valentine has been quoted in USA Today. Shelter employee Peter Maslock was the 2011 Henry Berg Leadership Award winner. We are now on the radar of much larger animal welfare organizations and are forming relationships with those groups. Community organizations and citizens continue to step forward to offer their support and assistance. And who in this room this evening is not a fan of shelter alum and Facebook sensation Tilly Williams? I foresee a very bright future for animal care in Allegany County, and I consider it an honor and a privilege to be a part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina. Mr. Dave Williams.
Tilly wrote his speech for him.
I'm Dave Williams. I live with Tilly Williams on the west side of Cumberland, and she can't be here tonight. She's heading up security at the compound, watching the other animals. So I'm here to share just a little bit about the people involved here. I think you're very familiar with the program that the foundation runs, and I just wanted to remind you that these are ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And the little chart I brought here to remind us all what's going on here is a project that this group of very ordinary people realized they needed to accelerate 2 years ago. And that the building we are building and the facility that we want to work out of and work with you in completing is what we owe the volunteers and what we owe the animals. And the partnership, and I think the goal of partnership in this private-public arena is when people want something that goes beyond what government can do at the time, they do it, they step forward and they do it themselves. And this was the principle behind Friends Aware when it was formed. This is the principle that was behind the League for Crippled Children when it was formed. These were citizens who stepped up, went beyond the normal services of government to make sure that it worked the way it should. And this foundation is ready to step into that role. And this is a $2.5 million facility. It's 11,000 square feet, and it's our goal to open the first 7,700 square feet of it sometime during 2014. That's a very ambitious project. And if you've been out there, we've been drilling holes and asking for money and doing a lot of things. But the bottom line on it is that every day that the shelter operates, it operates beyond its original intention. And every day you're there, you're talking dozens of people who volunteered to step forward themselves. And we consider them part of the foundation family, even though they may not go to a board meeting or they may not have a dollar to give to the construction of the facility. It's their time that's making it all possible, and it's our commitment to the animals and to making your policies work that's going to make this project work. And we absolutely appreciate the opportunity to take it on, and I think we can assure everybody in the public's eye that whatever it takes to make this right for the citizens of Allegany County and by these animals, this remarkable group of people is going to do. And I just am here to express our thanks for giving us a shot at it.
Okay.
And Tilly says hi.
And I think there'll be a Facebook post soon reflecting that. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time reading the person who signed here. Hank?
Tilly.
That's Hank Bullimore.
Oh, okay. Hank Bullimore.
As I tell my students, sometimes I can read my own writing on their exams, but often I can't do it, so you're right there. I'm Hank Bullimore. I live in Frostburg. For the past couple of years, I've been very active working with the dog park with my wife's help, which I think is an excellent example of public-private cooperation that has successfully produced a park that is enjoyed by many throughout the tri-state area. I think this is clearly an opportunity where we can move forward with some improvements at the shelter. That's really what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a shelter that is a good place, that's perceived as a place people want to go to adopt a pet. A shelter that has the facilities, the capability of having a real education program for the community and for the youth of the community. And a shelter that can be perceived as a leader in providing and supporting spay and neuter services. So I think you have an opportunity here to do something creative, something very productive, and I encourage you to move forward.
Well, thank you very much. Hank, that's exactly what it does say here. All right. Maureen Lauder.
Good evening. My name is Maureen Lauder, and I'm here today to represent Homeward Bound Cat Rescue. We are a small rescue that started last year. We were 4 volunteers at the shelter who decided 2 years ago to start our own small rescue here, and we've been working directly with the Shelter Foundation to help with the TNR project that the shelter was able, the foundation was able to get funding for. We've been very successful with that program. We've trapped, neutered, and released, I don't even know how many cats at this point. Working with the Shelter Foundation has been a wonderful experience. They're a very cohesive group. They have one agenda, which is to help the homeless animals in this county, any animal that comes through the door at that shelter. It has been a 180-degree turn for the shelter in the last 2 years. I believe that we have tremendous support in the community for the changes at the shelter, and I think it would be a wonderful win-win situation for the animals and for the county to have the foundation be able to take on this project. And we would like to continue to work with them and hopefully grow our program and grow our rescue along with the Shelter Foundation. So I'm really here just to say I think it's a fabulous idea, and I hope that you all support it. Okay. We have many volunteers who have spent countless hours. It's just a wonderful group of people that really care, and I believe that it really is a group that wants to work for one goal. They have one agenda. It's like I said, it's a cohesive group, and I think that that means something. I think that that shows their integrity, and they have creative ideas, and they really want to move forward with this, and I hope you support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Before we close this public hearing, is there anybody else who would like to say anything? Mr. Wilmot, I know this is a near and dear. I want to give you the opportunity. This is a hearing. Okay?
You done sent me a letter. I'm not allowed to speak on it.
Okay. Please note in the record that Mr. Wilmot has been given the opportunity to speak at the public meeting. Okay. Gentlemen, any comments? No? No, sir. All right. I'd like to close this public hearing on Code Home Rule Bill 3-13, and with action to be at our next meeting on March the 28th. Okay. Commissioners, item 5A, the Rawlings area water that has been added to our agenda. Is Mr. Kale?
He is.
Okay, you got your new glasses. They're in your pocket.
I'm here with good news for the Rawlings water system. As you recall, last March we had a public meeting with the citizens of Rawlings. The Rawlings Water Company wanted to dissolve, and they wanted the county to take it over. Soon thereafter, we got an $800,000 grant from Block Grant and did the first phase. And you guys were present during PACE reception. We met with USDA and Maryland Department of Environment. It's our #1 water project in Allegheny County. And we got a call yesterday from USDA saying they had money, and that's why we're real quick here. And they need the paperwork returned because, as Jason said, we want to lock into a low interest rate. Same thing applies to Rawlings, and plus the money might not be there because of the stuff that's going on in the government. So that's why we wanted to sign this real quick. We're hoping we can move forward. This would, what they want to do is they want to give us a $190,000 loan at 1.875%, and then a $566,000 grant towards the project. This will, with the funding we'll get from block grant, will be about $3 million or around $2 million. We'll need another $3 million to finish the project. So we're in good shape.
Okay, good stuff. Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the President of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the USDA Rural Development Funding documents for Phase 1 of the Rawlings Area Water Project.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Done.
Right under the bell, too.
Perfect. That was a quick 5 minutes. And if you could, I understand you're leaving town,
the end of the-
Commissioner, so if we could get you to sign that today so we can
Yes,
send her out. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I gotta, before I leave, I got to do payroll as well. So yes, sir, I'll be upstairs for a little bit. So, all righty. Mr. Eberly, what is on our consent agenda today, sir?
Commissioners, you have one item on your agenda today. It relates to a surplus property declaration for 3 pieces of equipment at the Department of Public Works.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept our consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your attendance there, Mr. Rudd.
He spoke a lot tonight.
Yeah. Just happy to be here.
Do you need some more water?
I'm good.
You're not parched or anything like that? Okay.
Commissioner, might I have some more time here today, if you don't mind? Please. Just this once.
It's up to Mr. Rudd.
Anything important
Oh, never
to say?
mind.
Go
We better
ahead.
not ask that. Yes, Mr. Everett.
Commissioners, we did this week open up bids for the rooftop HVA system, contract 1301. Those bids have been referred to the department for future recommendation. We also received bids for the Barton Farm Master Plan development. And there were 9 responses to that RFP.
Okay.
They were voluminous, and so we're going to take our time and comb through those proposals and be back to you shortly with a recommendation there as well. Commissioner, I have 2 pieces of correspondence to discuss with you this evening. First one relates to a request that we received from Friends of Ware Incorporated. As you know, we drafted correspondence in support of a bond bill request for that organization this year for a large capital campaign that they're undertaking for their Holland Street facility, and I have a letter here for your consideration. The organization is asking that you submit a letter to them that they can use as part of their fundraising efforts.
You want to go ahead and read that into the record?
I'll be pleased to do that. To whom it may concern, we, the Board of Commissioners of Allegheny County, wish to take this opportunity to express our support of Friends of Ware Incorporated as they embark upon a capital campaign to make much-needed improvements at their Holland Street facility. Funding received by FAI will be used to support the construction of handicap-accessible bathrooms, an improved entryway, and additional space for vocational training. In many rural communities, the needs of the developmentally disabled often go unmet. For those of us here in Allegheny County, we're fortunate to have FAI to provide much-needed direct support for those with developmental disabilities and their families. Which started nearly 60 years ago by a group of committed parents, today serves the needs of 140 individuals and their families. From residential or day programs to vocational training and supported employment opportunities, FAI is there to enrich the lives of their deserving clients. It is also important to note that the program and services offered by FAI supports an estimated 200 full and part-time employees here in our community. On behalf of the citizens of Allegheny County, we encourage one and all to consider contributing to the capital needs of Friends of Ware Incorporated.
Gentlemen?
Sounds good to me. Very
I like it.
All right, we're in consensus.
There we go. Commissioners, while you're signing that correspondence, I did want to bring to your attention a letter that we received from Mrs. Jean Hitchcock, who is the appointment secretary for the governor of Maryland. And this relates to the appointment of Cynthia Jones and Donald Sine, who are members of the Allegheny County Property Tax Appeals Board. Their terms will expire effective June the 1st, 2013. Mrs. Hitchcock is asking for us to seek recommendations for a list of 6 nominees back to her office at some point in time in the very near future. We did reach out and speak to both Miss Jones and Mr. Sine, and both of them are interested in being reappointed, but nonetheless they are asking for a list of a total of 6 candidates. We do have a press release here prepared for public circulation and seeking support on that board. So if we could ask our friends at both the radio station and the news media to pick up, or newspaper rather, to pick up on that, we would greatly appreciate it. So we're looking.
You both sign. Okay.
I heard the rattle.
It's actually a topic that some people are very interested in. So I'm looking to get, if we need 6 recommendations, I'm hoping to get a whole group of people interested in it, and maybe we can narrow it down to the 6. So to send on to the state. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Any more correspondence?
No, sir, that's all I got for you today.
Okay.
Sorry, it was a late load.
Hey, it's a good thing I was looking after you, because Mr. Rudd didn't want you to speak at all.
He's like that.
Okay. That's all right. Okay. Commissioners. Commissioner Valentine.
Thank you, sir. Last year, you may recall, we talked about a rating that Allegheny County received from a group called the Sunshine Review. This organization looks at county government, state government, municipal governments, and they give them ratings as far as their transparency. Last year, Allegheny County received an A- rating, which was among the highest in the state at that time. As you all know, all 3 commissioners have said that transparency is of great importance to us. We just received today that we won an award called the Sunny Award, and it's basically in recognition of being one of the most transparent government websites in America by scoring in the top 1% among 7,000 state and local websites analyzed by Sunshine Review's transparency checklist. We actually received an A+ rating, which is the highest in the state of Maryland. Sort of interesting, the second highest is Garrett County. They received an A-. There's actually one county in the state that received an F. There was a D-, a D. So I think our commitment to transparency is working, and we hope to continue getting those A+.
Well, wonderful. That is real good news.
Commissioners, I'd like to take this opportunity, if you don't mind, to recognize and embarrass Bretta Reinhardt and Beth Thomas for all their hard work in helping to pull that project together. Thank you, Bretta.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Commissioner Brody.
Yes, I'm going to put both you and Bill on the spot tonight. Since Bill spends a fair amount of time in Annapolis, and I'm going to see if he's heard any inside gossip. And you, as a member ex officio, that sits on the school board. Since I read a piece in the paper, it was kind of shocked me, since this year we asked all departments that's being funded by Allegheny County to try to hold the line, that the Board of Education is going to come, apparently, and ask us for an additional $500,000 for a problem that I didn't know that existed in Allegheny County, and I hope that it sure doesn't, but being a father of 2 children that recently graduated from Allegheny County Public Schools, and going to be soon a grandfather of someone that's going to have a child in Allegheny County Public Schools. Have you heard anything of any issues of putting resource officers in all schools throughout the state? And Commissioner, I just asked you about this last week, and it was kind of, you was working with a deal with the sheriff was heading up, and now all of a sudden a problem has arose in a matter of a few days.
There was one bill filed strictly in the Senate no companion bill in the House, and it was looking at putting basically armed guards in all schools, and it made it nowhere. It didn't get out of the committee. They just didn't think that that was truly a good idea, and they wanted more time to be able to study the issue.
As for an incident in the schools, Dr. Cox has said that our schools are safe. There hasn't been an incident. There is one school board member who believes that we can't afford not to protect our children. I don't want to say at all costs, but they have come up with a plan of 5 resource officers and some mental health. I tend to believe that we need to get a professional opinion about public safety. Public safety is not, and I repeat, public safety is not the charge of the Board of Education.
Okay.
The top law enforcement officer in Allegheny County is Sheriff Craig Robertson. So I've reached out to him, asked him to come together, put a group together, and come up with some form of recommendation. And we did have that meeting on Monday, and I thought it was very, very productive to have the state police there, City of Cumberland, City of Frostburg, the security administrator from the Board of Education. And at the end of the day, we need to slow down and figure out a plan. Dr. Root did talk about a plan, a comprehensive plan. So, Commissioner, yes, it's true they're going to come and ask for $500,000, but Dr. Root even said we need to have a comprehensive plan, and we need to study this and figure out what exactly is the right course of action. Any type of a knee-jerk reaction of what has happened in Sandy Hook, or what has happened at Columbine, or what has happened at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech had over 100 officers protecting Virginia Tech. Columbine actually had an officer in the school. Sandy Hook was in, for all intents and purposes, according to the sheriff, had done everything right. They had the school locked. The guy broke in. Now, don't get me wrong, it's something we need to study. We need to get it right. But please do not feel that, you know, a future grandchild is going to be in jeopardy in Allegheny County. I think there are 98,000 schools, public schools. You add in the charters and other organizations, we're up to about maybe 120,000 schools. The chances of that happening are very slim. However, we do need to plan for that day. And so, yes, they're going to come and ask for it, but it's going to be my recommendation until Sheriff Craig Robertson, who is our elected law enforcement, the gentleman who's in charge of public safety, makes some form of a recommendation to us.
I think that's a very wise way to look at it. It's sort of hard to understand how you put a dollar amount on a plan that you haven't created yet. So I would hate to see educational dollars wasted on hiring some people in a knee-jerk reaction before they actually had a plan, and then have to come back and say, well, we need more money because the plan we have isn't working. So, I would prefer to leave it in the hands of the professionals also.
Yes, and that answered a lot of my questions. And since everyone in this room well knows we're not the federal government, our money does come from the citizens of Allegheny County. And I am not in favor of throwing money at something just to throw money at it. So, and I do want my grandchild and any child to be safe, but I just didn't realize there was such an urgency that we was going to start throwing $500,000 at something we wasn't sure what we're throwing it at. So.
Well, there was a very famous lady by the name of Nancy Pelosi who said we had to pass the bill to see what's inside the bill. And we know exactly what that has happened with our health care, and it's unraveled. You're right. We are not the federal government. We are not Nancy Pelosi. We are not Harry Reid. And we are not going to run Allegheny County the way the federal government runs it. And to give you a good example, you do what this administration has done by keeping taxes low, by reducing the size of government by 18% without sacrificing services, and asking every department to hold the line and do their lion's share. What happens? You get an upgrade in your bond rating. Standard & Poor's and Moody's just came back and said Allegheny County is the way government should be running. And in a world where the federal government's being threatened with a second downgrade, the state of Maryland is there. I'm telling you, Allegheny County is the right way to be running the government, and we certainly don't need the federal government through Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid. Simple as that. So rest assured, we will get a recommendation from Sheriff Robertson, and I've actually asked staff to reach out to the health department and ask for Dr. Raver to give us maybe, and this is new, Dr. Raver, I don't believe you've made the phone call yet, but Dr. Raver to give us some kind of a recommendation on mental health. I'm a firm believer that 30 years ago when we closed down all the state mental facilities, instead of having a plan, not a knee-jerk reaction to something, but having a plan, what we ended up doing was we emptied out these hospitals for their rights. However, what has ended up happening is our detention centers are filling up, our jails are filling up, our homeless problem, and then in the case of the Sandy Hook, it was a mother who was having a hard time with her son through mental illness. This is a mental illness problem. So the school board is correct in that we need to look at mental health, but we're going to, before we make any action on any kind of budget, we're going to reach out to Dr. Raver and get her opinion on what happens. If you remember last year, commissioners, the health department came and they needed us to help them out with a mental health program. And luckily, we were able, through Jason's creativity, to be able to put that mental health program back into the plan. That's what's important. Mental health is the answer here. There's to have a knee-jerk reaction, to go off, and I just anyhow. Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi do not run Allegheny County, and we're going to make sure that the federal government, is screwed up as they are, it's not going to happen in Allegheny County, and we're going to make wise decisions off of the advice of the professionals, Dr. Raver and Sheriff Robertson.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now you got me all worked up.
Well, I hate to put you on the spot in public, but it's just...
We'll call Dr. Raver.
Okay, constituents. Looks like Mr. Wilmot.
I am Kenneth E. Wilmot. I live at 513 4th Avenue, Cumberland, Maryland, 21502. My telephone number is 301-724-4039 for anybody that's interested. The subject I'd like to speak on tonight is the recycling of paper, metal, plastics, you name it. I encountered recycling in 1972 when I was stationed in California. And when I arrived on the base, they gave me a piece of paper and they said, you will recycle the following items: newspapers, tin cans, and glass. I mean, I thought, boy, that's nice. I found out that I reduced my garbage about 2/3 when I went into this thing. I had been stationed in other countries. Man, I thought, this is great. Anyway, in 1998, I was living and working in Germany, the country of Germany. From one day to the next, they said, this is what it's going to be. 100% recycling. Recycle all kinds of plastics. They build a machine, the Germans build a machine called a flow technique. Different plastics have different weights. So they just shredded up all this plastic, and they run it through this float technique, and each bath was a different level.